Nat Hentoff wrote a book in 1992, and he titled it Free Speech for Me, but Not for Thee. And what he is arguing is that we're all in favor of free speech as long as it's our side, but we tend to be opposed to and want to censor speech that is in opposition, especially to our political point of view. So in the current political atmosphere, we have Stephen Miller, who is Trump advisor and crypt keeper, and this is what he said in an interview just recently. In recent days, we have learned just how many Americans in positions of authority, child services, law clerks, hospital nurses, teachers, government workers, even DOD employees, have been deeply and violently radicalized, the consequences of a vast, organized ecosystem of indoctrination. He continued, "There is an ideology that has steadily been growing in this country which hates everything that is good, righteous, and beautiful, and celebrates everything that is warped, twisted, and depraved. It is an ideology at war with family and nature. It is envious, malicious, and soulless. It is an ideology that looks upon the perfect family with bitter rage while embracing the serial criminal with tender warmth. It is an ideology that leads always, inevitably, and willfully to violence, violence against those who uphold order, faith, family, all that is noble and virtuous in this world. It is an ideology whose one unifying thread is the insatiable thirst for destruction." Stephen Miller is talking about Democrats and liberals, and he's talking about this in regards to the Charlie Kirk assassination. Project much, Stephen? We live in an upside-down world because everything that Stephen Miller just said relates to him. It's a characterization of him. It's a characterization of the Trump administration, of the MAGA folks, and unfortunately of the Republican Party as it is currently constituted. So welcome to 1984. Welcome to Handmaid's Tale. Welcome to the brave new world. Welcome to dystopia, where war is peace, hate is love, and fascism is freedom, because that is essentially what Stephen Miller is expostulating in his warped presentation. What he and Trump and the radical right, basically, are arguing is that people who have said what is true about Charlie Kirk and the things that he said, which were very hateful in many instances, that they should lose their jobs. Some have even argued that they should be deported, even if they're American citizens. They should be put in prison or even executed. Charlie Kirk actually said that Biden was guilty of treason and should be put in prison for life or executed. Trump has argued it's the radical lunatic left that is responsible for political violence. And J.D. Vance has repeated exactly the same argument, if you can call it an argument. It's really just an accusation. My challenge is this: where is the evidence of any of this being true? Mehdi Hasan on the Chris Cuomo show articulated a number of studies that have been done on whether it's more likely that the right wing or the left wing encourages violence, especially political terrorism. And he cites the Anti-Defamation League Center on Extremism, which in their study found that 75% of the acts of political terrorism in the United States come from the right. Former FBI Director Chris Wray, while he was the FBI director, concluded before Congress in a testimony that the number one domestic terror threat in the United States comes from white supremacists. The National Institute for Justice said that the majority of instances of violence and political terrorism since 1990 were perpetrated by right-wing extremists. The Cato Institute, which is a libertarian group that leans somewhat on the right, in a September 11, 2025 report, said that their conclusion from their study, 63% of the acts of political violence come from the right, 10% come from the left, and the rest come from foreign groups. So what is the conclusion we can draw from this? Trump, Republicans, and the MAGA people, the Stephen Millers of the United States, have no evidence to support their claim. They simply shout assertions that are simply untrue. And in fact, everything that they are really accusing the left of is really what the evidence proves is true about the right wing. What they really want to have happen is that they want the Democrats and the liberals to shut up while the right wing takes over America. So basically what it is free speech for me, but not for thee.